Hello and welcome to SPA. My name is Lisa Kingsbury. I am the Director of Community Engagement here at SPA, and I'm going to be taking you on a short little video tour of our arts program. I'm going to begin our presentation, but then we're going to be joined by various artist scholars, and they're going to talk directly about their performing arts major. To begin with, I want to talk about some exciting new changes at SPA, and that is around CTE. And CTE stands for Career Technical Education. It is a nationwide program that connects kids, educators, courses within high schools and also community colleges so that students can start doing academic and technical training within their given career path. In this particular school year, our SPA arts directors and our arts teachers are becoming preliminary credentialed CTE educators, which is fantastic. It has put them in touch with networks of teachers all across the nation to improve their programming. Our particular sector is arts, media, and entertainment. That's because we're a performing arts school. In particular, our pathways here at SPA are four. The first one is dance and choreography, which is for our dance majors. Professional music, which is for both our vocal and instrumental students. Professional theater for our theater students. And then stage technology, which is for our production and design students. All right, so our overarching, I would say, sort of mission and vision for our art students was developed by our arts directors a few years ago, and it is called the Artist Scholar Credo. And this credo is up all around the school, and it is sort of a North Star, a guidepost for our students within the arts. And it reads like this. As an artist scholar at SPA, I humble myself by entering each space with the mind of a beginner. I believe that talent is not a substitute for training. I understand that disappointment and discomfort can lead towards mastery and self-discovery. I commit myself to the creation of meaningful shared experiences, and I am always auditioning. And these simple statements are the ones that are the foundation for our entire arts program. Our teachers introduce middle school students to these concepts, and then when they get to high school, they're really held accountable to these guideposts, like I mentioned. And then finally, in our final class of the senior year, which is called the senior process, our students do a project where they discuss their entire journey with us, whether that's 7 years or 4 years through the high school experience. And they say how they have met these criteria and how, in fact, they are an artist scholar at SPA. So now we're going to talk about our dance major, and with me is my special guest, Grace.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace. I am in 10th grade and I am in dance. I've been here since 7th grade and I have enjoyed it so much.
Great. Grace, tell us a little bit about dance in middle school. What were your classes like? How many classes did you take? What kinds of things were you learning?
Dance in middle school, they kind of get you starting to feeling how a pre-professional program works. Our main focus basically is ballet. We like to focus on technique. Ballet is kind of the base of dance for any dancers. And we focus on listening to music and kind of just finding the base in a pre-professional program. We had one class every other day, and then we moved into high school, and that is when we started to get more classes. So we would have 2 classes every other day and then 1 class on the days that we didn't have the 2 classes. When we moved into high school, we began doing composition and repertory and modern and sometimes jazz. Sometimes we'd have a guest choreographer. We had a nice advantage last year to work with Gregory Dawson. He is an amazing artist and performer, and he was so fun to work with. He was a great person to learn from. We've had plenty of other choreographers come work with us, and it was just a really fun thing to do.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about preparing for a dance show, because I know every year we put on 2 dance showcases. What's the rehearsal process like? And then what did you enjoy most about performing for the SPA community?
Yeah, so performing for dance shows and rehearsing and getting up to the major point, we usually start about 3 months before, talking about the choreography and everything like that. And in high school, we use our class time to perform or to rehearse, not perform, to rehearse. And then in middle school, for the first dance show, you rehearse during your school time. And then there's a second dance show that is optional for middle schoolers. It's not optional for high schoolers, but it's optional for middle schoolers. And during that one, you rehearse after school for middle school. But during high school, you rehearse during class. And it's really cool to work with all these different choreographers and finding different ways to choreograph, and they usually let us put some input in, and it's just a really great experience to learn for a pre-professional program.
Awesome. And kind of my last set of questions are about the future. How do you see dance being a part of your future once you graduate from high school?
Dance is already a huge part of my life. In my future, I would hope that I continue taking dance classes on the side. I would also hope that I can maybe teach at a dance studio. It would be a really fun experience. That's something I've always dreamed of. I believe dance is a way to kind of just it's a way to express your feelings and a way to let everything, block everything out of your mind that you're trying to do. And you just get to express it with your body instead of using your voice.
I love that. All right, so last question. What do you think dance has taught you in terms of maybe skills or ways to think that you can apply to either your academics or maybe real life situations?
Dance has definitely taught me to never give up. It's always going to be a challenge. You should never, ever give up. As a dancer, we are trained to stick through it, push through it. So if we're sick and we might have a headache or something, we're always told to push through it. You can do it, because at the end of the day, it's going to benefit you as a dancer and it's going to benefit where you go in the future. So it's taught me to push through, keep going, and be strong.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And thanks for telling us about the dance program.
Thank you.
Now we're on our instrumental majors, and let me introduce you to Brandon.
Hi, my name is Brandon Barnes. I am a 12th grade instrumental major and I mainly play drums, but I've also picked up trumpet, guitar, ukulele, and so many more instruments in the instrumental department. I've not majored, I've played in many different ensembles. I've played in the jazz band, I've played in pit orchestra, I've played with orchestra, I've done vocal music as well. And it's just because instrumental major and just SPA in general gives you so many opportunities to do so many different things in the music arts, and it's a great thing to do.
Awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about the class that's called Contemporary Combos and what you guys do?
Yes, contemporary combos is a great class. In contemporary combos, either the teacher or us, we will choose a group of 3 or more students, and we have the option to either create our own piece or play another type of piece, or like play a song. And we just use the entirety of that time to learn the song or make the song, and we perform it in front of parents and teachers at the end of the quarter. But we can perform this year, obviously.
That's okay. And I know that you've done some after school extracurricular stuff as well. I think you were in the pit band in one of the musicals. Tell me about that experience.
Yes, I was in pit for Footloose in 10th grade or 11th grade, in 11th grade. And that was really just a fun time. It was only me, 2 guitarists, a bassist, and a flute. And it was just the best time that I've had. And I also did pit for this year's production that was going to be Into the Woods, but again, because of COVID, that wasn't able to happen. But my entirety of doing pit and SPA is really great and very fun.
Cool. And one last question for you. Where do you see music fitting into your future?
I see it through music production. I really want to become a producer for other artists and myself in the future. And I'm just really trying my best to apply music into everything in my life so I can help pursue that career goal.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now we're going to talk about production and design. And my special guest with me is Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex Bunnick. I'm a ninth grader in production design.
So Alex, why don't you tell us about your middle school journey in production design? What did you learn? What did you do?
So I started SPA in sixth grade and I took all the intro to illustration, intro to design classes. And then in eighth grade, I was actually advancing. So I got to take the high school stagecraft 1 class in eighth grade. So now as a ninth grader, I'm ahead 1 year. So now I'm taking art history and stagecraft 2.
Awesome. What kinds of things did you do in stagecraft?
We did a lot of different projects like set projects, costume. We also did a little bit of theater history. We did just design and making things and lights and sound. So it's basically like an overview of all the things in production design. So
Was there one particular thing that you liked the best?
I really like doing the set projects. I think those were super fun to me, and we were thankful enough to do them before school closed. So we still got to build things for the set. We built a bench for the set project, which was fun.
So speaking of building things, what kinds of tools do you use in production and design?
We learn how to use chop saws, drills, just drills and screws, measure. We basically take the design, then we measure the wood, cut the wood, and then build it all ourselves. So that's we learn a lot from that project.
That's awesome. So looking forward in the classes that are coming up in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, what are you most interested in or excited about?
I'm really excited to take performance seminar and the film technologies class because I know some of the high school students, the older ones, and they say those classes are super fun. And I've seen some of their film projects and other just projects in general. So I'm very excited to start those.
Awesome. And Alex, I know that you do a couple different things after school with production and design. Number one, I know that you've been on stage crew, right, for various productions. Can you tell us a little bit about stage crew?
Yeah, so SPA basically hosts the shows, and then stage crew does all the backstage work like costume, set, makeup, hair, lights, all of that. So I've worked with costumes and set. I've been in charge of it for over the past few years. So I've made all the costumes, made the designs, and I've also built the sets for the productions and helped paint them and things. So I've been doing that since sixth grade too. And it's really fun because you get to meet people from in the community, you build new relationships with other people and just learn a lot overall about PD.
So what show has been your favorite show to work on?
That's really hard. I'd probably say, either I think I'm going to say Picasso, the Peanut Jail, because it was really fun to build the set for that play. And then it was just such a fun group of kids and high schoolers, and it was so fun. And I also learned a lot. I also got to help with painting and just I helped around a lot during that show. So that was fun.
Awesome. One last question for you. I know this year you're on Production and Design Council. Can you tell us a little bit about what a PD council is and what it does?
Yeah, so the Production and Council basically hosts PD events and promoting events for our major. So one of our events that we're planning right now is the an art show and a film festival. So we're getting all the submissions, organizing everything for an online show. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're working on currently.
Awesome. So I lied, one more question. If you had advice for incoming production and design students, what would be a piece of advice that you would say to them?
I'd say don't be nervous. It's super fun and you learn so much. And also just stay on top of your work because definitely it's very rigorous, but it's you learn a lot during it. So you just need to stay on top of your stuff and try your best. You don't worry about too much about your grade. Just try to learn your art. That's the biggest thing.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
So now we're going to talk about theater, and my special guest is Michaela.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm a 10th grader here at SPA, and I'm in the theater program. I started at SPA in 7th grade. The classes were a little different back then, but I'm going to talk to you about all the classes that I took over the years. So in 7th grade, I took a writing and directing class where we wrote a lot of short plays and we performed them. We even performed a short work called And a Child Shall Lead, which I believe they perform now in 8th grade in the most advanced middle school class, where some of the older high schoolers get a chance to direct them. it was an amazing experience because you really get to see like all the ins and outs of it. I got to be a director. It was my first time directing anything. It was kind of chaos, but it was absolutely amazing because being a director is chaos and you have to embrace the chaos and you have to embrace the mistakes and the hiccups. And then in 8th grade, I was in the Deepening the Ensemble class. It was the only class I took. We actually put on a main stage production in that class called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. I was Guildenstern. That was kind of one of the most crazy experiences of my life. It was like, we did a lot of work with the script in that class. So we learned a lot about what beat changes are and like all sorts of different things that have to do with script work and sitting around a table and talking about it. And that was absolutely amazing. And then in 9th grade, I took Introduction to Meisner, Theater History, and Stagecraft for Actors, which is not a class anymore, but that was a very interesting experience as well. In Introduction to Meisner, we learned a lot of different theater techniques like Williamson, and a few other ones. We did Laban efforts, viewpoints, and a few different things. And then in theater history, we learned about the history of theater all around. So we learned about Greek theater, Roman theater, Elizabethan theater, Shakespeare, stuff like that. And we did a lot of fun projects around that. Now in 10th grade, I'm taking Intermediate Scene Study, Voice and Movement 2, and Musical Theater History. Now, so far in Intermediate Scene Study, we've read a play and now we're really like decoding the script and we're starting to work on Meisner work, which is very hard. And then in Voice and Movement, we're back to what we were doing last year with viewpoints. It's a lot harder online, but when we're in person, we all kind of do a bunch of movement together and it's all about connecting with each other and using what's called soft focus to do motions at the same time, or like just connecting with your ensemble. And then in musical theater history, we're learning more about musical theater. We're going to be learning about the history of musical theater in the future. And right now we're kind of working on what is called an inner monologue, where we picked a song and we have to write what's going on in the character's head during that song. And this has just been so helpful. I'm a musical theater actor and I sing a lot. And so doing this inner monologue work has helped me enhance my acting in singing. And I was able to use it, like I've been able to already use it outside of school in different vocal things that I've been working on. Another great thing we get to do in the theater department is the shows, the plays and musicals. On the screen, you see a picture from Picasso at the Le Pinagile, the play we did last year. I am in the picture somewhere, but I'm a little hidden. I'm not sure where. I was in it. That was in 9th grade. A great thing about that show is I got to work with a bunch of upperclassmen. So I had to push myself to the level of the upperclassmen and meet their standard, even though I might have been a little less advanced than them because I was younger. And that was a really cool experience to try and do that. And then another thing we do is the musicals. I've been in 2, almost 3, because Corona canceled one of them, unfortunately. But the first one was The Secret Garden, and in that I was more of an ensemble member. I had a smaller role, and in that show I really learned how to work with an ensemble and like how important the ensemble really is to a show, because it's a lot more important than you would think. It's not all about the leads, it's about everyone. And then in 8th grade, I did Footloose, where I played Rusty, and I got to do some solo work in there. I was a little bit of a bigger part. I was one of the main character's best friends, and I getting to do the solo work was a very different experience. And it shows you how the leads aren't just the leads; they're like also a part of the whole group ensemble, and everyone is working together at all time. And then we started rehearsals for Into the Woods, and I was going to play Cinderella. As we all know, that show is a lot of twists and turns and confusing things. And so while we were working on that, it was really cool to see how everything connected with each other. And it was really cool to see how we were still able to continue and have a performance of a song from the show, even when COVID hit. Yeah, any questions, Miss Kingsbury?
So coming up in 11th and 12th grade, you've got a bunch of different kinds of classes, but I know that you've heard about what they are. So what are you most looking forward to?
I am really excited for Acting the Classics. In Acting the Classics, I think I'll be in that class next year. They put on a classic show. So in some of the past years, they've done Antigonic, which is kind of a retelling of Antigone, the Greek. And then the year before they did King Lear, which is a Shakespeare. And those shows are just always so cool. And I really like classic theater. And I'm really excited to see the whole process for all of that. And then in 12th grade, I'm really excited to do directing and dramaturgy because you get to work with the younger students and do some directing with them and like different work with them and stuff. And I just think that's going to be really cool and exciting to connect with the younger students, the younger theater students and such.
Agreed. Last question for you.
Mhm.
Where do you see theater playing a part in your future, and what kinds of skills do you think these theater classes are giving you to take into your future?
Well, my dream is to be an actress. Hopefully in New York. I like doing stage acting the best. So I think that my skills that I'm learning here, the Meisner work I'm working on now, the musical theater work I'm working on, all of the different movement skills I've learned are going to help me like with college auditions and with auditions in general um, in the future. Especially the inner monologue work I talked about earlier. That is just going to be amazingly helpful. And knowing history, though it might just sound like history, it's important to know that history because you know where everything came from and it helps you connect with it a little more and understand it a little more too. And as well as the script work, when I get cast in a show, it's going to help me. I'm going to know how to do the script work. So I'm going to be able to come with all sorts of cool ideas and be like, what about this, you guys? And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Michaela.
Thank you so much for having me.
So right now we're going to talk about our vocal program, and with us we have one of our vocal students, Maxine Espiritu.
Hi, I'm Maxine Espiritu. I am a 10th grade vocal major. I have been here since the very beginning of SPA. And when I was in middle school, so like 6th through 8th grade, I was a dance major. And then at the end of 8th grade, I decided to switch my majors into vocal. And both are very professional, like atmospheres. They're both very nice and they're both outlets of creativity with so much opportunity on the other side. Like whenever my teachers always say that you're always auditioning. And what they mean by that is that even if you're just practicing, even if you're just rehearsing, even whatever you're doing, you're practicing your own art and it's going to give you a large variety for what you want to do in your future. Well, I want to use my creativity in the performing arts. I definitely want to use it in my future, and in ways I want to do that is maybe I want to open a studio, maybe I want to perform professionally. These classes give me the opportunity to do that. I love my vocal arts class. We've learned, Miss Logan teaches us so much, and she's formed my mind to work as a musician, and it's just a really amazing experience.
Awesome. Maxine, can I ask you a question? I know that you've also put your vocal talents to use and you've been part of our musicals. Can you talk a little bit about being in school musicals and what you've done?
Certainly. So I have been in the all school musical since 7th grade, and we were going to do Into the Woods before it got canceled because of the pandemic. But the musicals anyone can audition for the musicals, and it's a really fun experience because it's a mixture of everything, and you don't always get that in between each of your arts classes. Sure, there's a little touch here and there, but the musical is what gets everyone involved. Like Into the Woods was finally going to have someone from every single major, and it was going to be really exciting, but unfortunately, like I said, it got canceled. But musicals are so much fun. Not only do you get like to have the experience, but you also make so many bonds and connections with other arts majors. And then maybe you're passing by in the hallway and you like say a line and then someone else recites a line, and it's just a whole like amazing adventure. And when we're actually performing, we make up like jokes and songs. So not only is like very friendly and a very like family orientated kind of like thing, kind of like event, but it's also a way to get opportunities out there, a way to express ourselves, a way to just broadcast our arts and creativity with the world.
Awesome, thank you. And then one more quick question. I know last year Miss Logan started a brand new thing called the Suppertime Follies. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys did for the Follies and what was it all about?
Yeah. So the Follies was another amazing experience where we would have families. The tickets were kind of pricey, but there's a good reason for that. Not only was it a fundraiser, but you got a meal with our whole high school arts major dancing and singing around you. Like as you're eating, you could have someone walk by you singing or serenading you. It was a really fun experience. And not only to perform, but what my family said was that they really enjoyed just watching it. Not only did they enjoy the food, but they also enjoyed the atmosphere and the enjoyment that it brought with it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Maxine. Thanks for joining us today.